Good evening. This is Maestro Cretella with a Dawn of War 3 cast. Today, we have a 1v1 on Charon's Rest. Our first player is Gaz, playing as the Space Marines. He has chosen as his elites Terminators, Gabriel Angelos, and Kill Team Ironmaw. His opponent is Dullahan, showing up yet again. Dullahan has chosen as his elites Autarch Kyre, the Wraithknight, as well as Jain Zar. So this is the second game that I'm casting featuring Dullahan. You know, at this point, this game is so new that, you know, it's hard to really know who the good players are, and I would hopefully like to get more skilled play than, you know, less skilled play. Dullahan is a name that I recognize from Dawn of War 2. He was pretty good at that game. So I'm just hoping that he is a little bit more experienced with real-time strategy games in general, or just a strong gamer in general, and that he's hopefully, honestly, one of the better Dawn of War 3 players currently. Already cast one game of him, which he won. So on a different map this time, and this map is laid out a little bit differently. We see more of a split of the resource points, with most of them giving you a mix of both the requisition as well as the power generator options. Although again, we are seeing the elite point generator. There's only one of them. It's contested right in the middle. And it looks like Dullahan's going to lose it again. So with right now, Gaz is capturing the contested elite point generator. In general, he appears to have control of the most of the contested resource points. So this might have something to do with his opening. So Dullahan has gotten a build. He's chosen to go into Rangers. Now I have a feeling, at least just how I would think Rangers would work in theory. They're going to be a harassment unit. Long-range burst damage, probably not very high sustained damage, able to take out generators from a distance. Kind of just makes Gaz's cost from getting the generators sunk. And he's just using this to really pick off things at range. He's actually Dullahan's being pretty annoying with these Rangers. So Rangers obviously equipped with long rifles to snipe. And Rangers, if we look, they have the Shadow Step ability, so they can teleport to the target position within stealth cover. They also have the Sensor Beacon, which they need to have this upgrade from the Soul Shrine before they can actually use it. And Fleet of Foot appears to be active at the moment. I would think they need to be within the psychic radius of a webway gate. So, you know, I'm kind of looking around. Is there a webway gate? Because it looks like they were experiencing it. But here go some Howling Banshees as well. Howling Banshees appear to be doing quite a bit of work, to the point where it seems like Gaz doesn't really want to deal with it. Or at least he tried to kite away for a while. He has dropped the standard. How much is that going to help him with the Banshees being right there and actually getting the decap on? Yeah, so I believe they captured the standard so that the attacks won't even benefit from it anymore. Actually, it looks like to be a pretty decisive win for Dullahan right there. So I missed that, but wow, very nice. I think he actually, I was focusing on the Banshees, but I think he had actually used the Shadow Step ability to have those Rangers teleport into this stealth cover, and then they were able to finish off the Tactical Marines from there. Right now, this play with the Rangers, as well as just kind of the harassment he's doing and how annoying he's being, is actually very impressive. So, and Rangers are the kind of unit, or, you know, Eldar in general. Eldar are often, from what I've seen, they often end up being considered like kind of annoying, sometimes arguably overpowered. Not necessarily actually overpowered, but they're the kind of race that is going to be designed in a way that is definitely going to annoy people, and definitely has the potential to be overpowered. Since they're just a lot about, like, at least the general idea of them is a lot about superior mobility, ambush, trickery, things like that, as opposed to races that should, at least in theory, be much more straightforward, such as both Space Marines and Orcs. Looks like we've got Kill Team Ironmaw out on the field from Gaz. But they upgraded to have Fury Tactics, which gives them a Flamer, and they actually did a ton of damage to those Banshees on approach. Flamers, I've been told, are actually very, very effective in this game. I've tried them a few times myself, had trouble getting it working out that well myself, but, you know, I trust people on that. So, and from what I've noticed so far with Dullahan, at least this is the second game I've casted him, he has preferred to go for more expensive elites, and that does make some things a little bit tougher for him in the early game, especially if he's playing against an opponent who will get a 2-point elite, because it just means his opponent is guaranteed to get an elite out on the field faster than he does, and he also often does that in games where he loses the contested elite point generator. So it takes him even longer to get an elite out. So he's kind of like almost, with the choices he's making, kind of conceding the early game a bit, but then I guess hoping for an advantage in the late game maybe. And at least from what I've seen in this game, it doesn't actually necessarily feel like you necessarily gain an advantage in the early game just by winning in the early game. So we've still got, man, these Rangers have been really, really annoying. You know, it's interesting because I'm seeing this highly effective Ranger play out of Dullahan. I feel like, from what I've seen of Space Marine play so far, they generally don't go for Sniper Scouts the way that Dullahan right here is going for Rangers.
I strike, they die.
So I had considered for my second cast choosing a player other than Dullahan, but he advertised this replay as featuring Jain Zar. It's also Eldar, so I kind of wanted to see that. Banshees, man. Banshees, though, not terribly tough, and it seems they, in particular, really having trouble with those Space Marine Flamers. There is the Vortex Grenade from the Kill Team Ironmaw. Didn't seem to be enough to kill the Dark Reapers here.
Light enemy contact.
So Reapers are a heavy weapons infantry that damages in a circle around their target, and they have to set up before firing.
Warrior health improved.
We take a look at. I've kept the camera mostly on, basically which player whose things I can see. There's the Shadow Step. Yeah, wow, that's quite a distance to teleport. That's quite a distance. I think it's pretty amazing, but he's also about to get jumped on.
Servitor deployed. The standard flies.
So standard about to go in. Oh, but here is Jain Zar, and I've been wanting to see Jain Zar. Jain Zar, the Phoenix Lord of the Howling Banshee Aspect Shrine. All right, he's got the bubble cover, which I think is going to be pretty important. I think it basically means he's kind of winning here. And I don't think that Gaz should really approach it unless he's got a pretty significant melee force, which now he doesn't. And as much as Gaz has had more than half of the map, he's had most of the contested points pretty much the whole time. I think part of what is keeping Dullahan in this game is that Dullahan at least appears to be inflicting far more losses with his rather effective, I was going to say annoying, but his effective Ranger play. Just doing so much damage from afar, sometimes almost uncontested. Here is... what? I wasn't sure. Oh, I believe that was actually... that might have been Kill Team Ironmaw using their teleport homer to leave the field. I couldn't see it. So Jain Zar with a yin-yang icon. And we see all Eldar units have, they have that pink health bar on top, and that is shields. Whereas Space Marines don't have that by default. They have certain abilities that grant that to them. The standard grants that to them. And Jain Zar And I believe the advantage of the shields is that even as they're taking damage, they aren't going to start losing models just from their shields. So you won't drop, at least as far as I understand it, Eldar squads will not drop models until their shields have been destroyed. Assault Marines jumping in all by themselves. I think that might have been a little misguided. Yeah. I mean, he was trying to jump onto the Reapers, but what he ended up jumping on was Jain Zar. And it's hard to tell from this perspective because I've turned Fog of War off. But, you know, he may have just thought he was jumping into Dark Reapers, and he may not have known that the Banshees as well as Jain Zar were there. So, Jain Zar is pretty cool. We got the Banshees, and here is Gabriel Angelos hitting the field. I mean, honestly, at this point, this replay does go on for a bit of a while, but despite, I actually feel like despite Gaz having, again, having control of the contested victory points, the momentum of the fights actually feels like it has been going very, very strongly in favor. Wow, look at the damage that those Reapers are doing to kill Team Ironmaw, certainly to the shield that they had upon landing, and then even afterward. So we have double Dark Reapers here doing quite a bit of damage. The momentum of the fights actually feel like they've been going very, very strongly in favor of Dullahan. Dullahan, yeah, I mean, Gaz actually has no squads whatsoever. He's got Gabriel Angelos and Kill Team Ironmaw. That's what he has. So he's got 2 of his elites. He lost all of his other squads. And it often feels like he is, it actually really feels like Dullahan is just outplaying him.
Deathstorm drop pod readying.
Stealth Rangers are automatically stealthed. So Rangers infiltrated by default, but they will reveal themselves when shooting. And with the way Dullahan's playing, he is shooting a lot.
Tactical Marine Squad deployed. A power generator is in jeopardy. Drop pod deployed.
So Jain Zar is a nuker and an assassin.
We've upgraded infantry health.
Into plasma guns. Plasma guns ready.
So it looks like Gaz is taking the time, taking some time to build up some forces. I better. Oh wait, yeah, I'm already on Gaz's side. So Gaz, it looks like I think he's in a bit of a tough situation with only having the barracks. As it doesn't look like. Oh, so he has upgraded to tier 2. I'm wondering if at this point he needs could possibly need the machine cult. But he seems to be investing in other things, and it's actually not really looking good with Dullahan after not having the contested resource points for so long. Now he's getting them. Banshees are just going to charge right in there, and without Angelos to disrupt them, those tactical Marines really don't stand a chance. Servitor goes down. And I mean, this is almost like classic Eldar play. I almost mean it like in a Dawn of War 2 sense. It was very much just hit and run. They did some damage, then they left. There's the Banshee charge. But they didn't quite make good on that charge, with one of the Banshee squads looking like it's not going to get out of there alive. I mean, those Banshee squads definitely vulnerable, but they do seem to be effective at what they do. Jain Zar going to come here. Wow. I believe that was her dash. So, looks like Gaz is starting to put himself back in this game with Dullahan. So I was going to say both of these players are focusing more on infantry, and of course things are not showing correctly. It's telling me, I'm trying to look at Dullahan, and it's telling me the barracks, that these are the units that can be built from the barracks, as well as the machine cult. Not really. Let's see if we can actually look at what buildings he has. Soul Shrine, Webway Assembly. He's building the Infinity Portal so that he can get Wraith Guard and Wraith Blades.
Dark Reapers at your command. The Infinity Portal is complete.
So I wonder if and when we'll see another elite out from Dullahan. Something's going to come in here. So that's the Vortex Grenade. There's the Standard yet again. The Standard does have a pretty big radius for what it does. But, I mean, right now it seems like... Alright. Jain Zar are going to get out there. So Jain Zar are very mobile. And actually looks like, with the help of the Standard, Gaz was able to win that engagement. Warrior Portal is up front, and it is going to be relocated. So that's also something that is, I think, just very inherently strong.
We have finished our task.
With the Eldar basically being able to teleport their buildings around the map. And I know that was an ability in Dawn of War 1. Obviously other races are not going to get to do that. But it was basically like his position got overwhelmed. He had a forward building so that he could benefit from reinforcements and healing. And then when his position got overrun, he was able to teleport it back to safety. There is definitely a long cooldown on those abilities. We can even see it happening right here. It's not even cooldown halfway, and it still has 50 seconds left. So, and it'll even say a 90-second cooldown, so we can actually look at the actual cooldown. You know, and if we look here, he actually needs to unlock Shadow players, so needs to research Shadow Specters before actually being able to buy them.
Upgrade complete.
And the resource income of these points is actually rather high. In particular, this has already been upgraded to, you get the generators, and then you can also upgrade, you get a resource upgrade which will increase how many resources can be gathered from that resource point. Oh, there are the Wraith Guard, with having a very different projectile effect from Dawn of War 2. So Jain Zar just threw Silent Death, doing some damage to the Assault Marines. Assault Marines are probably going to go down, but so are some Howling Banshees, I think. Jain Zar herself taking a lot of damage, at least from her shield. And she can use her dash. Looks like she's using it both offensively and defensively, where she can use that as an escape. We've also seen sometimes when she collides with a unit, she will jump in the air and throw out a few projectiles. Oh, he's going to harass with the Rangers again. Because, I mean, Gaz is just kind of standing around. He's standing around, so at some point, Dullahan is going to use the Rangers, be annoying, and that will either just cause losses or force Gaz to do something about it. And Dullahan's really forcing the issue right here. I wonder if the Banshees could use a little bit more support than that. They're up there all alone. And, I mean, he does have some long-range fire support going in, but I think the Banshees might pay with this. Yeah, they paid with their lives for that engagement. So, Dullahan has mostly been using a long-range composition, and, I mean, if this game had leveling like Dawn of War 2, I think these Rangers would be fully leveled at this point. They have been putting in so much work. I think they need to move, though. Even if they are infiltrated, I think they need to move. Jain Zar, meanwhile, at full health now, right now, so she's ready to go back in here. Is this the Death Storm? Yes, it is. You know, I still see this going possibly in Dullahan's favor with Jain Zar right there. And, ooh, do we have Autarch Kyre on the field? So, I believe just enough elite points for Kyre. But I don't think he's out yet. Let's actually take a look over at Gaz. Gaz. I wanted to see if he had enough points for maybe Terminators. Let's go back to Dullahan. Dullahan actually just holding his elite points right now.
Phase 3. The light enemy force met. West of your position. Deployment cancelled. Wraithguard, answer the call. The Shadow Spectres are ready for war.
So he's got...
Enemy contact.
Dullahan has 2 squads of Wraithguard, and he's building Shadow Spectres. So he does have 1 squad of Shadow Spectres. So ranged infantry, they're a skimmer unit, and they even do anti-vehicle damage, armor-piercing damage.
Securing vehicle health.
All right, things are happening here. Assault Marines jumping into Wraithguard. We don't really have the Banshees, any Banshees on the field at all, actually, or Jain Zar. Jain Zar is coming back around. She, the Banshee. Looking like she is going to be... Oh, wow, what is that? That is the Banshee. Alright, so there are Banshees, and they just use their charge or dash, which seems to be a little... I don't know. They basically... It didn't seem to work out that well there, because they just charged way past the tax, and at some point they weren't actually being productive with that charge. 2 squads of Shadow Spectres.
We summon the Shadow Spectres. Our webway
More
assembly
Shadow
shall
Spectres.
attain Tier 3.
Alright, looks like at this point Dullahan is deciding to push forward. I think late enough into the game that it can actually reasonably make a push towards the opponent's base. Not even really bothering to capture the contested resource points at this point. Because you know what? He's going to get a lot of resource points from destroying the shield generator. Or maybe I'm wrong. It's only from the turret.
Warriors will deploy at your
Nope,
command.
I'm right.
What is
1
your
elite point,
intent?
500 requisition. He destroyed both of the shield generators, so we might see the Wraithknight come out on the field right now. He's got enough elite points for it. Don't know what he's waiting for, or maybe just doesn't want to.
Point captured.
But he's certainly got the resource points to do it, and that could potentially end the game in his favor. There is Jain Zar jumping around, using both of her abilities. Here is something. Oh, that is more... oh, hello. There we go. There's the Wraith Lord sliding... Not the Wraith Lord, the Wraithknight. So this is not Wraithknight Taldir. This is just the Wraithknight. Does not have a personalized name. But we see it's doing massive damage to Kill Team Ironmaw. The Wraithknight right here has much more of a ranged focus compared to Taldir, since instead of having that huge sword, it has 2 ranged weapons. And we can see they are...
Light enemy contact. Southeast of your position.
does quite a bit of range damage, armor-piercing damage. So it actually can fight in melee, and I believe just the way this game works, and really any Dawn of War game, any unit can actually fight in melee. But of course, some units are not very good at it, while others are very good at it. Wow, look at that! That's incredible. That was the focused beam ability, and that did a huge amount of damage to the turret.
Enemy force.
So I'm pretty sure this is Dullahan actually finishing off the game right here. Power Core is now vulnerable, and I think with this Wraithknight pushing, I think it will be... this is the end of the game.
Summoning Wraithblades.
So there are the Shadow Spectres.
Infantry help.
There's the jump.
I tower above the path I strike.
Unleashing the Eldritch Storm.
Oh, and we're even going to have an Eldritch Storm on top of that as well.
Shadow Spectres answer the call.
So, I mean, the nukes in general in this game compared to, say, like Dawn of War 2, they're much more like... they last a lot longer, and then they're much more persistent and sustained damage, as opposed to the burst explosion that they would be in Dawn of War 2. Clearly, this game's about to end. There's just not enough to contest the Wraithknight at this point, and it's just shooting at the power core point blank. Kind of ridiculous. Even deciding to finish it off with that. Alright. And that's the end of this game. Hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.